Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Rogue Breakdown, where today we're going to be breaking down Dallas. Dallas is a intel class, and as an intel class, his main objective is to spot enemies and to keep his team aware of where people are. Gathering intel and gathering information about what the other team is doing is crucial for his role. But of course, as always, we need to dive into his loadout, his abilities, and his perks to get a better grasp on where Dallas sits as an actual character within Rogue Company. Is he a great character, or is he just going to be a character that's going to be pushed to the side in way of meta? To find this out, we need to look at his loadout, his primary weapons, for example. He has two primary weapons, which are going to include the HRM 30KS assault rifle and the Devotion DMR. We're going to break both of these weapons down so that way you know exactly what they do and how effective they truly are within combat. So let's look at his assault rifle first, the HRM 30KS. This is going to do 24 damage to the body with a range of 23. It's going to have 20 rounds in its magazine with a fire rate of 6.1 rounds per minute. It's going to have 34 handling and a reload time of 1.9 seconds. The weapon has 3 upgrade tiers. Tier 1 will increase the damage range of the weapon. Tier 2 will increase your hipfire accuracy, and Tier 3 will add a suppressor as well as reduce the recoil. The HRM is an accurate assault rifle, and probably one of my favorite assault rifles in the game due to how many headshots that you can pop off with this thing. Its low fire rate, combined with its high accuracy and its high body damage, will allow you to not only take on phantoms in the back line, if you're smart about it, but will also win you some medium range engagements if you are able to hit the headshots or even surprise your enemy. Overall, I think this weapon is great. I think it's an awesome weapon to use, and it's very beginner friendly as well. If you don't know how to manage recoil very well, don't worry. This gun does have slight bits of recoil, but it's not too much that you can't handle. Now we're going to move on to his next weapon, the DMR Devotion. Devotion is going to do 45 damage to the body with a range of 37 meters. It's going to have a 6-round magazine size with a fire rate of 2.22 rounds per minute. Its handling is going to be 51, and it's going to have a 0.5 second reload time. Now, this weapon does have 3 tiers of upgrades. Tier 1 will increase your bullet penetration. Tier 2 will increase the magazine size and give you a faster reload speed. And then Tier 3 will nullify the damage fall off. Now, the Devotion, in my opinion, is just basically Dallas's worst weapon, and possibly the worst weapon in the game. I hardly see this weapon being used in any type of gameplay for Dallas at all. Anybody that I've seen that runs a Dallas runs his AR, and for good reason. His assault rifle just is much more versatile and is more useful in different situations than Devotion. Devotion's not really great at a close to medium range style combat because you'll just get outgunned by many of the people who are using ARs or submachine guns. In the long range combat, where you think this gun would excel, it just doesn't, because you do have other people such as Dima with his burst rifle and also Saint with the burst rifle as well. Phantom with her sniper rifle also basically just dunks all over Devotion. So Devotion, even though it doesn't have a damage fall off at tier 3, still kinda doesn't really make any sense as to why you would pick it up in terms of your normal AR. So now let's dive into Dallas's secondary weapon, which is unique to only Dallas, and that is the LW6 revolver. This revolver does 36 damage to the body with a 16-meter range. It also has 6 rounds in its magazine with a fire rate of 2.8 rounds per minute. Its handling is 47, and its reload time is 1.6 seconds. This secondary is going to only have 2 upgrades, in which Tier 1 will increase the damage range of the weapon, and Tier 2 will increase the hipfire accuracy and reduce the recoil. This weapon is not just only cool, but it's also super effective. It's going to be able to 3-tap somebody into their down state, or even 2-tap somebody if you get 2 headshots. This is an insanely powerful secondary that is only unique to Dallas. Only Dallas has this one, and to be honest, it's just amazing. It really is amazing. I just can't say much more about it. It's just one of the best secondaries in the game, and could possibly compete to be one of the best weapons in the game if a lot of people know how to use this correctly. Headshot machine, 2-tap downs. I mean, what more could you ask for from a weapon like this? The only downfalls I see with this weapon are simply the fact that it only has 6 rounds, being a revolver, and its lower fire rate does mean that you could get outgunned by some higher fire rate, more accurate type people. So now looking at his throwing axe melee weapon, it's going to do 40 damage to the body, and when you throw the weapon, it's going to do 100 damage, meaning that you are going to one-shot somebody if you hit them while throwing this weapon. Its swing rate is going to be 2.2 swings per second. Pretty standard amongst all melee weapons. On top of this, it does have 2 upgrades. Tier 1 will increase your throw speed, and Tier 2 will increase the throw damage. So there isn't much to say on the throwing axe, since most of the melee weapons in this game are relatively the same. It is a throwing weapon. You are going to get more damage out of it if you do throw it, rather than using it as just a standard melee weapon, which is going to be a 3-swing kill. Usually, though, many people are going to try to throw this weapon to get the one-shot kill, so it is kind of like that one-use weapon to where you have it in your inventory, you're going to toss it to see if you can get the one off, and if you don't, well, then you just swap over to your actual weapons and start using those. Now we're going to move over to Dallas's gadgets. He has 2 gadgets, the EMP grenade and the incendiary grenade. Both of these are good grenades for basically disrupting enemies in their positioning. Starting off with the EMP grenade is going to damage equipment and prevent targets from using their abilities and gadgets for a short duration. This grenade also has 2 upgrades that you need to be aware of. Tier 1 will increase the EMP duration, and then Tier 2 will increase your grenade count by 1. So the EMP grenade is a great utility grenade. It denies people from using their abilities and denies people from using their gadgets, which means no grenade throws, no anvil walls, no Vi poison traps, alright, nothing. You can't use any of that stuff when you're under the effect of an EMP. It's pretty much a portable glitch in a sense, so if you really want to run this to be more supportive to your team, by all means, this is one of the better utility grenades in the game. So now on to the incendiary grenade, in which this grenade creates a lingering pool of fire. This grenade also has 2 tiers of upgrades. Tier 1 will increase the radius in which the fire is in, and Tier 2 will increase the fire duration. This is a great area of denial grenade, allowing you to block off certain choke points and flanking routes, so that way people don't get to run through them at their leisure. This grenade also does tick damage over time, so if you do step in it, you are going to take damage over the period of time after you exit the actual area in which you are in. Even if this grenade is not fully upgraded, you can expect to get downed by this grenade if you stay within the fire for too long. Overall, this is just a great little utility grenade. Again, can be used more aggressively if you want to, but mainly use this to block off some flank routes if you know somebody's coming through them. Looking at Dallas's loadout does identify him as a more utility-based intel character than anything else, being able to deny flankers their flanking routes with area of denial grenades, as well as being able to disable abilities and gadgets with his EMP grenades. His AR and also his DMR are pretty decent weapons. However, though, his DMR does fail in the long run, while his AR actually excels. And then he also has the super awesome secondary weapon, the revolver. And I mean, come on, you can't get any cooler than the revolver. But now that we've gotten his loadout out of the way, we need to move on to his traits. Now, his traits are going to include an ability and a passive. We're going to start off with his ability, which is called Target Finder. Target Finder is going to reveal the closest enemy to him for a short duration. This is great for trying to find anybody who is rushing the objective to get that quick cap off, or anybody who might be flanking at the same time you are while you're collecting intel. Allowing your team to understand where the closest player is to the actual team or to Dallas is going to be helpful. However, though, I will say that this ability is kind of lackluster in the fact that it only reveals one enemy rather than all enemies. But again, his passive is going to kind of explain why that is. So his passive is called Recharge. Recharge your ability upon downing an enemy. This is a great passive that ties into his ability, Target Finder, which will just essentially continuously refresh if you keep downing people. It will refresh, and it will refresh again for you to find even more people, until finally the entire enemy team is completely revealed to you. And that is honestly some of the best synchronization in between a passive and an ability that we have seen in any of the characters that we've covered so far. So now you know why people love to play Dallas and love to include him into team comps. His passive and his ability work incredibly well together, and his entire loadout is super utility based, especially with an incendiary grenade and an EMP grenade to follow up that nasty assault rifle as well as that secondary revolver. But we're not out of this yet. We still got to look at his perks. And to be honest, his perks are pretty good. So let's look at them. Starting off, his perk list is padded steps, silencing the sound of your footsteps when you aren't sprinting. Next up on the list, we have Berserker, gain the ability to reload while sprinting. Stalker, which will remove the aim down sight's movement speed penalty. Bounce Back, which will reduce your health regeneration delay. Headstrong, which will give you an additional 25 armor. And then Replenish. Downing an enemy reloads your currently equipped weapon and restores ammunition. His perks are pretty good, actually, for his all-around utility kit, and they really do provide him with the tools necessary to continue being the intel/utility character that he is. He's just really well-rounded, and I feel as if Dallas is going to be that character that a lot of new players are going to revolve around, simply because his entire kit is just so easy to understand and so self-explanatory. So Dallas is a well-rounded intel utility character, being able to go into paths and highlight enemies for his allies, as well as take care of the flankers, recharge his ability, and continuously mark enemies for his team. This is very, very, very good in a game like this, and to where knowing where the enemy is, especially in a third-person shooter, is incredibly important. This is basically why Dallas is a surefire pick for many people inside of their team comp. With all this said, Dallas should be heavily considered in your team comp, because he's not only an intel character who will provide you with locations of enemies, but he's also very utility-based, which will allow him to deny the enemies their abilities to do many of things, like throw gadgets, and also use their abilities. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed today's Rogue Breakdown, and if you like the videos that I make, go ahead and drop a like on this video, and go ahead and subscribe, as well as hit that bell icon, so that way you can get notifications of whenever a new Rogue Breakdown video drops, or any type of Rogue Company content drops on this channel. With all of that, I'll see you guys in the next one.